All right, we are now live. Welcome everybody to the Oracle In podcast. I'm joined with Laquan and Kevin. We've taken a few weeks off for the holidays, but we are back.
We're
There's
back,
plenty,
baby.
plenty to talk about.
Back in action.
So guys, what are your New Year's resolutions? What are you promising yourself that you're going to break within the first 100 days?
I don't do New Year's resolutions, but I think for me it's more about like countdown to summertime, right? You're like, man, I gotta hit a little weight action, maybe do a little jogging because you get a little put on the winter coat, as it were, to stay warm. You need that nice blubbery layer of goodness.
The
Yeah. On the plus side, though, I'm good to cuddle with if it's cold outside. So yeah, no, I don't really do the New Year's resolution thing because I used to, and I would just break them. Like, I'm gonna join a gym after I eat this pizza.
I'm gonna take this nap because of grease.
Yeah,
Put me to sleep. I'm with Kevin. I don't really do resolutions, but one thing that I am doing this year though is just really kind of giving back more. Volunteering. Maybe organizing some events. That's really important to me. So I'll definitely spend majority of the year doing that, trying to be as involved as possible. Anybody who's out there, this is the time. We need those social justice warriors. So that's really mine.
Yeah, I think for me, I started this new year off kind of rocky in the sense that I just had an episode happen last month where a friend of mine, I think, took something out of context and really went to an extreme with it to the point that like they unfriended me on Facebook and created this whole thing. And what I realized is that for whatever the reasons are, clearly they had something going on. I mean, I talked about this with several friends and family to see like, was I out, and wrong? And everybody was like, no, I think they took what you said a little too far. I won't get into the details, but basically I just have it where I think my New Year's resolution is, I'm just going to remove toxicity out of my life. I think people are going to have their own ideas and their own convictions, whether there's accurate truth behind it or not, because it's just the way that we see the world. And I can't blame people for that. But I'm always investing more of myself into relationships than maybe I should. So I think because of that, I just want to surround myself with people who genuinely trust me, genuinely love me, genuinely, accept who I am and are willing to listen to me. So because of that one incident, I started taking inventory of my relationships to see like, how many people out there, do I feel are kind of taking advantage of me, or they're just looking for a reason to project whatever anger or resentment or frustration they're feeling inside. And I'm offering that channel to them kind of naively. So I've just been kind of looking around and realizing, I think it's just good to recognize that, it's okay if, we're not all best friends in the world, just as long as we can develop some sort of mutual respect and camaraderie on that level. So I think that's where my New Year's resolution is starting, is that I want healthy relationships around me. I want to, kind of cue, like you were saying, I want to invest myself more into being a part of helping where the energy feels right to help, instead of trying to force things in areas that maybe just don't make any sense to do that anymore.
I think one of the biggest things too, and I think definitely appreciate you sharing. I think the focus, definitely for me, I wish for everybody too, is to be more present, right? I think we get away from that, just being present and not living in the past, and not looking too far forward into the future, of things that haven't even materialized yet, but just being present. And for me, I think that was one of the big things, because I used to always be thinking about the future. Why am I not where I feel like I should be? What are the things I've done in my past? Is it the reason why I'm not there? Am I supposed to be there? And then it was this great quote. It was like, we spend all our times wondering why we're not there, but we never stop to think, is this really what we want? So we always have these dreams, these aspirations, these things that sometimes are materialized through TV, these fantasies, but we never really think to ourselves, is this really what I really want? You know, like everybody wants money, everybody wants big houses and nice cars, you know, but is that really going to bring me happiness? I still want to get and find out, of course, but you know, I'll be the first one to lie to you. I'm still going to go for that kind of stuff. Those are things that are personal to me that I want, and then I'll figure out if that's not what it's all cracked up to be. But I still would rather be depressed in a $3.4 million house, driving a Aventador or an Aston Martin than a Challenger and a really nice apartment in Irvine. You know, so
Yeah.
let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good problem to have though, right? I still have work to do. I don't know that I really am who I need to be, but damn it, this $5 million in the bank does not hurt one bit. You know, because a lot of the if you, I don't know, I see a lot of kind of those entrepreneurial self-help guru kind of guys, and they're always like, don't chase the money, chase what the money can do for you, which is allowing you the time to do what you want to do. It gives getting the money is nice, the cars, the houses, whatever, but the nicest part of that is the freedom to spend your time doing what it is you want to do. And for me, that's, when I look kind of forward, that's the goal. Is I want to be able to wake up and go, nope, not today. Or, hey, I feel like I'm going to go, let's go down to Texas and go say hi to people. Let's go hand out free, free books in Texas, because damn it, they need them.
You know what's funny? You know what my real goal? Well, one of my real goals are. My goal is to really follow that Angelina Jolie model, and I know it sounds really weird, but I just really want to adopt a couple kids, have enough wealth where I can just travel the world, giving back and exposing my children to the best parts of the world and the worst parts too as well. And at that point, they'll find their happy median, because they've been exposed to everything. Maybe hire a couple hot nannies, so in case I get lonely or whatever. But for the most part, that'd be what it is. And last point I want to make too, people with a lot of money who are depressed because money, if you still have issues, you have issues. But I'm always thinking to myself, and I'm thinking from I'm not rich, so I'm thinking from a regular pedestrian mindset, I would say is you can always change your environment. You know what I'm saying? If you're depressed in your $3 million house, you can always just Uber to the airport and be like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Italy and I'm going to spend out here for a month, just to change scenery. Because a lot of times you got to change your scenery in order to change your mindset. You need to be exposed to different things. So I always wonder, and maybe one day I'll have that problem. I always wonder, why can't you just get on a plane and go someplace different? You'll still have the same problems, but still having different scenery, having a different mindset, that could help get yourself out of that. So I don't know, maybe that's a naive way of looking at things.
No, not at all. And actually, I can speak from personal experience on that because growing up in Los Angeles and being in there, for greatly into my 20s, I was getting depressed. And the reason why is that I wasn't finding a good rhythm in life. I wasn't finding, relationships that were meaningful or that really, kind of got me really feeling like, this is really making me feel very fulfilled. And I remember, at the time I was talking with a coworker of mine, and I'll never forget what she said, because I was talking about leaving LA, and she's like, yeah, but Eric, wherever you go, there you are. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And then I wound up deciding, you know what, I need to leave. I need something that's different. And coming to Flagstaff, from my personal experience, was the best decision I've ever made in my life, because by taking myself out of that environment, I got to not only learn about a new culture, a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing things, but it just opened me up to new, familiarities and surroundings. And so I think it's really important, and especially for something like a New Year's resolution, if anybody out there, if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, if you feel like it's been years and things just aren't feeling moving in direction, try changing it up, Because what's the worst that can happen? I mean, you're always going to feel a fear that there's that risk of, oh my God, how do I get a job? How am I going to make that work? But as long as you have that drive in you, you're going to find it. You will find a way to make that work. And it's worth that risk, because what's the alternative? Living in depression or living in fear, and you're just going to go through that trudge through the rest of your life? Life is too short. You got to go out and make it happen.
I've traveled all my life since I was about 2 years old. I've lived in Alaska, I've lived in Germany. When I was in the military, I went to Turkey, Thailand, Dubai. I've been to Iraq. been to Hawaii a couple times. So you name it, I've been there. I've been all over Japan, all through Canada, Oklahoma. So, but anyway, the thing is, the reason why I say all that is, for me, it does get depressing being in one place for a long time because you know what's out there. And I think the most important thing is this world is so big. It's like you have to go out and see it. And I have been blessed and privileged to be able to see all these beautiful countries, Germany, Frankfurt, Czechoslovakia. I've been to Paris, France, all these places, and you just get the chance to see how other people live, and you get to appreciate different cultures. And then sometimes you do kind of resent your own country because you're like, why do people live like this out here? But then I go back and I'm treated like this there. But I definitely encourage people, just to get out your state, just for a day or two, and just get out there, live life, because we're all on borrowed time. And I think the biggest travesty is not traveling this world. There's so much to see. And I'm telling you firsthand, this world is beautiful. Despite what you see on the news and stuff like that, this is a beautiful world. Some beautiful people out there. Get out there and travel.
Yeah, a lot of it actually is, most people, if you live somewhere most of your life, there's still stuff you haven't done. There's still places you haven't gone in that community. So you don't even have to spend a whole bunch of money, go real far or anything. All you got to do is look around the corner, see, there's that museum that I've always wanted to go to, go.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say for anybody, especially with all the negativity that we do see, especially through, social media and news outlets and whatnot, it really does make it seem like the world's a very dark place and it's getting darker every day. It's good to remind ourselves of that. And I think that's why I'm ultimately an optimist because, Laquan, like you're saying, I think the one thing that I've learned to appreciate are the arts. Find something that resonates with you, and like you're saying, just go open your mind up a little bit. And I think that's why, for me, no matter what the issue is, no matter what the problem is, I'm always going to be optimistic that there's a way to look at something differently than we do that might present a resolution that nobody thought about before. I think that's how progress is defined, is that you have to think outside the box and, kind of like in the Matrix, realize, there is no box, there's no spoon. This is all just made up in our head, and sometimes switching up your surroundings and just trying something new helps to get that.
We talked about this too, and if you live near an ocean, a stream, a lake, whatever, I think it's always great to go visit that. We was talking about it. To me personally, I feel like it does have ionic healing powers. Just being out there next to it, feeling that ocean air, whatever. When we went to Palos Verdes, I just felt like the whole time I was out there, I felt refreshed, out there. Like I didn't feel that way, prior to that. But when we was out there, we was just chilling. Man, I couldn't stop talking about how great I felt, and just, I feel like it just triggered creativity out of me. I felt pure. I think sometimes it's good to be out there and just appreciate the world's wonders out there, and just the things that this world offers to us. Like the bodies of water and all kinds of stuff. Those are privileges. If you live in the Midwest, you don't really have a lot of that. So if you live close to it, definitely get out there.